Okay, Matthew chapter 24 is a chapter about what some Christians call the end times. And what that means is, well, what is going to happen at the end of the world when Jesus comes back? There's this idea, and depending on your perspective on this, or a variety of Christian perspectives on what is going to happen at the end of the world. But Matthew 24 is certainly going to be one of those chapters that you'd have to wrestle with in order to understand really what is going to happen. So if you're kind of a newer Christian, I encourage you don't get too worried about reading this and digging into this, but as you read it, I'm going to try to help walk you through some of the issues. Okay, it says in verse 3, later Jesus sat down on the Mount of Olives, and his disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when will all of this happen?" This end of the world stuff that Jesus is talking about. When will all of this happen? What sign will signal your return and the end of the world? Right now, they're probably thinking about this more in terms of sort of military. They thought that Jesus was going to be this conquering king, so they probably didn't fully understand even what they were asking. But then again, we don't really fully understand it. But as you read through this, here's what he says. The good news about the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world so that all nations will hear it, and then the end will come. So that's one clue as far as what's going to happen at the end is, first of all, God wants us, his people, to continue to share the good news so that all nations can hear the gospel before the end will come. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you think about what will happen at the end of the world. And then verse 23, it says, if anyone tells you, look, here's the Messiah, or there he is, don't believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will rise up and perform great signs and wonders so as to deceive, if possible, even God's chosen one. So another thing we can learn about the end times right here is don't panic if people start talking about the end times and saying here he is, there he is. Don't panic, don't believe it, because this is going to happen at the end of the world. Again, I'll let you read this for yourself as we scroll down here to the bottom. Verse 36, this is really important. Jesus said, however, no one knows the day or the hour when these things will happen, not even the angels in heaven or the Son himself. Only the Father knows. And so Jesus is saying, if someone writes a book and says, I know when the end will come, don't believe it, because not even Jesus, he said, not even the Son knew at this point here on earth. So that's interesting. So I know that sometimes some people will get up there and write a book, or a movie will come out about this, or maybe you'll read something in a magazine or on a blog. Well, don't believe it. Nobody knows exactly when the end will come. And then let's scroll here to the bottom. Here's the last thing that we need to know about it. He says, so you too must keep watch, for you don't know what day your Lord is coming. Understand this, if a homeowner knew exactly when a burglar was coming, he would keep watch and not permit his house to be broken into. You also must be ready all the time, for the Son of Man will come when least expected. So whatever you do when you read this, I think what you need to keep in mind is just be ready. Someday Jesus is going to come back, and be ready. And that doesn't just mean be ready for yourself, that you have a relationship with God that's strong and healthy, but it also means, I think, to really share the gospel, do as much as you can to try to help someone else to pursue God as well. So anyway, you ready to read chapter 24? We'll see you tomorrow for chapter 25.